start to begin to kind of break down where we're at. Now, there's only so much that you're going to be able to get right off the bat because, obviously, this was a closed scrimmage. And at the same time, you hear bits and pieces of what was good, what was bad, what has to get better. All that's true. But I would note that, again, for Florida State, right now, I knock on wood every single time a scrimmage gets played and we are not hearing about any significant injuries. That's the number one thing. Because if Florida State's to get to where we want them to get, which I think the goal is 6-6, I believe it to be 6-6. The only way that happens is if, again, your starters continue to take strides, but remain healthy. Now, because we just, it's too easy to do it with the segment groups. It's too easy to look at the defensive line and the offensive line and say, if they lose this guy, they lose that guy. Who's the backup? What do we have coming in? And you immediately, your heart just sinks as you realize, in some cases, it's a big step back. In others, a little less so. They've got some developing depth along the defensive line. They've maybe got a spot on the offensive line for a sixth or seventh guy that you feel maybe one spot, maybe one guy.
Yeah, I feel like it might be 7, which is a real development for us, but still, it's not more than 7.
No, it's
probably 1 strike, but you might have 2.
Yeah, so the number one thing, again, just you get through scrimmages, you like to hear about who's emerging and who's not, and which guy seems to be stepping up. Look, at the end of the day, I'll just tell you this. Somebody that we talked about before camp started, somebody that I talked about once camp started because we were out there watching practice, and I was most excited about really since his arrival, and I'm just holding out hope that it continues to trend in this direction, is Travis Jay on the defensive side of the football. He is your best athlete, and he is, I think, potentially a really, really impactful player for you, and he had a good scrimmage. He played well, and that's good to know. It's you're getting some guys. Malik McLean's a guy, Tom, that we've talked about a lot, but typically I'm loath to spend too much time on freshman receivers because I know that a kid could come in and he looks special. He looks like he may fill that role someday. That he's bigger than maybe you expected. He has the right body type that tells you he's ready to play, or he has the requisite speed. He's consistent as a route runner, whatever it might be. But, man, when the lights turn on and it's a game situation and you haven't played big-time college football in a Power 5 conference, a lot of times freshmen begin to shrink. There are exceptions. It's just that it's hard to rely on it. So I've been excited about him because he got spring, which matters, especially as a freshman receiver. And he looked good in spring, and he's continued to carry that over here. So maybe you get to a place where you have 3 or 4 guys you can depend on in the passing game. He would be one that's emerging for you, perhaps, that you would not have projected just because of his relative youth. But Parchment is a guy that you'll need to stretch the field and that you brought in as a transfer for the very reason that he's coming into play. You need him to be consistently good. And then, of course, Keyshawn Helton's a guy right from the get-go that we said more explosive, looks like the old Keyshawn Helton. He's made more plays. When you listen to Norvell, he gets excited about him, and Kenny Dillingham gets excited about him too. Well, that's because he doesn't look anything like he did a year ago. He's all the way back from the injury. He looks good. So you might have 3 or 4 guys that you feel pretty good about at wide receiver. The story of the practice to me, because if you're going to go by what we hear and using sources, basically it was a traditional result, meaning your first scrimmage typically is pretty well dominated by the defense. And from what I understand, without having seen it, couldn't sneak in to see it, Tom. Couldn't sneak in to see it, alas.
Well, yeah, because they moved to the IPF. Your plan was foiled.
It was indeed. So here's the thing. The first team defense beat up on the first team offense. But that's normal. That's like what you expect to see. But then from there, if you're gonna find some takeaways that seem to be pretty consistent, and this is what I try to do when I reach out to sources like, okay, well, let's see if I get 4 or 5 guys that might give me the nuts and bolts of what happened. And if all of them say something very similar about a particular player or a result, you can usually bet that something along those lines happened. And Jordan Travis, Tom, think about last week, I brought this up towards the end of the week, and I said that if you go to practice, Jordan Travis typically outperforms Mackenzie Milton. On the whole, they both have their moments, but on the whole, you'd say Jordan Travis is outperforming Mackenzie Milton. Now, he did all of spring as well. And then the game came, and they both looked good in the game, but Mackenzie Milton made the throws that kind of got you excited about him transferring here to begin with. And he's the guy that has put up huge numbers in big games against Power 5 teams. So you're kind of thinking, all right, well, all things being equal, Mackenzie's going to start. Even if Jordan's slightly ahead of Mackenzie, Mackenzie's going to start. But we keep watching practice, and we keep seeing Jordan Travis play better than Mackenzie Milton on the whole. In my opinion, from what we can see of the reps, it's not, I don't know if the coaches feel this way or not. But then Kenny Dillingham brings up Jordan Travis. You asked the question, Tom.
I did, yeah.
About who's been the most consistent, and he's the first name out of his mouth is Jordan Travis. I guess it's just something to start to consider. I say all of it to say maybe it's just time to consider that Jordan Travis may end up being the starter. He may beat out Mackenzie Milton. Maybe not. Not prepared to say that's going to happen definitively one way or the other. It's something to entertain right now. And also, while we're talking about it, kudos to you, Jordan Travis, because that's an awful lot of hard work. When they had to pass the ball in obvious passing situations a year ago, if you go look at all the advanced metrics, everything that helps define and illuminate what's a good and bad passing game, and who makes plays in the passing game when defenses know they're going to be passing. So 3rd and long, 2nd and long, those kinds of things. Jordan Travis did not make those throws. He didn't. Jordan Travis made plays with his legs, or he bought time with his legs and made some throws to open guys who wiggled free because he bought time away from the structure of the play. But he did not make small window throws when teams knew he had to throw the ball. If he's going to get to that place, is what we talked about in the offseason, he's going to have to become a much more consistent thrower of the football. He's going to have to do it when defenses know he's throwing, and he's going to have to be more accurate with the football. And he has been a lot more accurate dating back to the end of spring and to where we are now. Would that make him an elite thrower? Would you look at him in this conference and say he measures up to the top-tier quarterbacks in this league? As a passer, probably not. But if it's a big leap forward and he has the legs to go with where he is elite, this could be a much more consistent offense. This might not just be the big play. This could be a sustainable offense. And I find it fascinating because, again, that competition is going to go on right up to the very end. And I'm not entirely certain, because I don't think, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, I don't get the sense that Mike Norvell is ever going to come out and say, so-and-so is the starting quarterback. I don't think you're going to hear that. And I wouldn't if I were him. I would not tell anybody who my starting quarterback was, because strategically, I don't need Notre Dame to know that before we kick off. I'm going to let this thing play out right up to the very end. And even if I have a sense of who I want to be the starting quarterback, who I think won the job, I'm not telling anybody. So I don't think we're going to know. I don't think he's going to tell anybody.
I think both are going to play at the end of the day. They walked up to Charlotte with that idea. I think that's the way it's going to stick, is that both will see the field as a true quarterback for some portion of the game against Notre Dame. But yeah, to clarify and to give a little bit of context, the coordinators and Mike Norvell were available late Saturday night. And then when Kenny went through, he was praising a lot of different players, but I got the last question in and I asked just who's been the most consistent through the first week of camp. He listed a ton of people. It's one of those deals when a head coach, you ask him, so who's been standing out the linebacker segment? He'll name every single one because he doesn't want to give an edge to one player over the other. Kenny kind of did that, but the first name when I asked was Jordan Travis. The second name that popped up in his head for who's been the most consistent through a week of camp and the scrimmage was Keyshawn Hilton. So those are the first two players that immediately popped in his head. It wasn't Mackenzie. It was Jordan. And these coaches are looking for consistency. Now, they still have a second scrimmage this upcoming Sunday, I believe it is. And then they have a mock game the Sunday after that. So there's still 2 more of these things to go.
Oh, sure. There's a long way to go. You're going to let this play out. If you've got fierce competition and it's close, this is exactly what you want. You want somebody pushing somebody else. Doesn't really matter who. Just as long as somebody's pushing somebody else, then you're getting what you want in terms of competition every day in practice. And they're getting that at a lot of positions right now, which is important. Now, they may not have, again, a depth of talent at each of these segment groups that belie Florida State's success in past years. They don't have that right now, but they're trying to raise the floor, and they're trying to get more consistent. And they're trying to create that elite level competition on a daily basis in practice so that you get guys emerging having gone through it, having gone through a day-to-day pressure of having to perform. And that's great. It should bring out the most in all of these players, or the best in all these players, I should say. I wonder, will Mackenzie Milton, and I can't wait to get back to watching practice, which we're about to be able to do again. Will he put together a stretch like he did towards the end of spring? Because towards the end of spring, you could make an argument. I know our own Ira Schafel did at Warchant.com that he saw it coming. He thought Mackenzie was close and that he was emerging. He was a little bit more bullish on him than I was in terms of seeing it coming. I thought he'd have a good practice, then a bad practice, then a good practice, then a bad practice, which beats the heck out of the first 2 weeks, which was bad practice, bad practice, bad practice. So, that's the way I was looking at him, quote unquote, emerging. But to Ira's credit, he went out there and played very well. Will he have one of those kinds of weeks again where all of a sudden all of this is a moot point? And it will never, I guess, in truth, it won't be a moot point because it does tell me that Jordan Travis is raising the floor of the quarterback room no matter what happens this year. And that is important, very important. Again, as always, when we talk about the offense and the defense, when we talk about wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, defensive backs, linebackers, we're talking about skill position guys. But we also know that you're doing yourself a disservice with all this enthusiasm or disappointment or either if you don't circle back and say, how good or bad was the offensive and defensive line? Because that's at the end of the day what's going to matter most. That's the biggest contributing factor to a good season or a bad season.
Yeah, and that's the trend right now is that, of course, the defensive line is winning that battle in the trenches when you're going ones-on-ones consistently.
Yeah.
The offensive line is going to get some help with Devontae Love-Taylor. Our friend Devontae Love-Taylor, who was on Warchant TV last night at 5 p.m. for the first edition of Trench Talk, really advised you guys. It was excellent. Sometimes, player or coach-driven shows, it's like watching paint dry, right? In this case, Devontae is charismatic, gave great answers, insightful answers, and one of the things he discussed was he feels like he's about ready to go. It's something that Mike Norvell said after the scrimmage on Saturday night, which is Devontae Love-Taylor is really close to being in the fold. And we know that he's a plug-and-play starter, given what the two deep looks like. So the offensive line is going to get some help. But so far, it's the ones on the defensive line that are consistently winning the battle in the trenches. The offense may be getting some splash plays, some explosives, but they aren't consistently beating our defensive line when it's good on good.
The defensive line is going to probably be, when the starters are out there, a stronger segment for Florida State. Now, the depth of talent, again, is not where I'd like it to be, but the starters from end to end are pretty darn good. I think potentially pretty good. Upper to middle of the pack in the ACC.
In the ACC, probably upper half.
Yeah, right, probably. Again,
college football, middle of the pack.
Right.
As long as they don't get banged up.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys know the storm is on its way to Tallahassee. I don't mean to be an alarmist. You guys are aware of this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If you're listening locally, I'm sure you're prepared. Kids were sent home here in Tallahassee today. No school, which all of us have to figure around. I understand. So I hope everybody stays safe. But I should note that our friends at T-Spark Enterprises, Roofing and Construction, are your guys. If you are unfortunate enough to go through some damage to your roof or parts of your house, you're going to want to call T-Spark. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully you don't have structural damage. But if that is to happen, a roofer cannot always repair that because it's structural. But with T-Spark, it's one call. You have a general contractor and a roofer in one. That's what they offer you. I would tell you that if you're looking to do that, if you have to do that, 850-766-1340 for T-Spark. And we appreciate them being a sponsor of the Jeff Cameron Show here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Like and subscribe.
It all started with a simple family dream, some hard work, and the foundation of honest, loyal, and fair customer service. Now, Spartan Stoneworks is Tallahassee's premier granite, marble, and quartz specialist. Your kitchen is your family's gathering place, so let a company with strong family values bring your kitchen back to life. Stop wishing for your new kitchen and call Spartan Stoneworks today at 510-4249. That's 510-4249. Online at SpartanStoneworks.com.
Applications, onboarding, payroll, termination. Business owners and managers, these are the processes that take away too much time from what you do best. But what if there was a locally owned, responsive solution that would charge you a fraction of the big national payroll companies? Sound too good to be true? It's not. North Florida Payroll Services is Tallahassee owned for nearly 15 years. And in that time, their prices have never changed. The reason North Florida Payroll Services can do that? Exceptional customer service that constantly evolves with the latest technology. From application to termination, for turnkey service for your payroll and HR services, trust a Tallahassee expert and save yourself time and money. North Florida Payroll Services. Online at northfloridapayroll.com.
Hey guys, it's Greg Tish. It's summertime, it's grilling time. But with a grill that just won't light, you're just going to end up with the summertime blues. Yeah, blues and barbecue go hand in hand, but if you get a custom outdoor kitchen built from Hearth and Patio, you'll feel like a rock star every time those flames kick on. They also sell a full line of incredible high-end grills like Fire Magic, Blaze, and Broil Master, all designed to deliver the ultimate in beauty, performance, and durability. Everything you need to elevate your grilling experience can be found at Hearth and Patio. In fact, anything related to fire can be found at Hearth and Patio. Fire pits, gas lighting, indoor and outdoor fireplaces, wood stoves, and even custom-built pizza ovens. Go see for yourself. Check out their services and products online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. That's hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Or give them a call, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. At Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
TV. Likes on our videos will help other Noles find this, or anybody who's just looking for great content. Subscribing to Warchant TV is completely free. Hit the bell, kids, after subscribing, and get notified anytime we go live. It's good stuff. Okay. Interesting to read some of the comments. I'll start with the hopeful ones, if only because I understand Eric probably represents an awful lot of the Seminole faithful right now as we're this close to the start of a season. I'm saying 7-5, he writes, Jeff and Tom, but I could realistically see 8-4, which would be outstanding. 6-6 to me would be disappointing as a diehard Noles fan. Maybe I don't know how we get to 8 wins. I would argue, Eric, that's a pie in the sky view of the season for Florida State. 8 wins. I don't see it. Tom may agree with you more than I do. I don't see it. I have a hard time getting to 6 wins when I do this, and I'm honest with myself. I can get there, but it's not easy. It's not easy, and I certainly can't get anywhere near 8.
We could play this game then. All right, what's the most likely win total? 6, do you think? Most likely.
5.
Ooh, okay. All right. So we're starting with a little Debbie Downer action. 5 is the most likely win total for the season. What's the next most likely?
6.
6. Okay. After that, 4 or 7?
4.
Ooh, boy. Okay. See, I'd say 6, 5, then 7. So I think 6-6 is the most likely outcome for this year. And then it just depends on, I mean, turnover luck, attrition, all these things are going to count. The kicking game, that's one thing when John Papuchis was talking to the media on Saturday night. Doesn't sound like that kicking battle has been resolved, and I can't imagine that's for a good reason. I can't imagine it's because guys are just hitting 50-yarders left and right.
No, they're not. So I would tell you that is a weakness on this team, just as the offensive line is a weakness on this team, just as the receiving core compared to other receiving cores around the ACC and around the country is a weakness on this team. I would tell you that you don't have a great tight end room. You've got a couple of guys that you like okay. Defensively, you don't love your linebackers. You're thin on the defensive line. How does that add up to 8 wins? I don't know how that adds up to 8 wins. Your secondary, which I think is a strength, is only a strength if you get pressure on the quarterback, which you might. Mm-hmm. Jermaine Johnson could possibly provide that, and that's a game changer. And if your defense is drastically improved, that's how you get to 7 wins. To get to 8 wins, just to play the game, to carry out the exercise, you have to believe that Florida State beats Notre Dame on September the 5th, 7:30 on ABC. I hope like hell that happens because, my goodness, what a impetus for change the rest of the year. A belief, a result, a moment in which confidence is born. Confidence is born for players that don't have it currently, okay? That is the best thing that can happen, obviously. I mean, stands to reason. But I don't think Florida State's going to beat Notre Dame on September the 5th. So right off the bat, we part there. Yes, Jacksonville State's a win no matter what. Now, you got to beat Wake. Again, I'm trying to get you to 8 wins. I'm going to have a hard time, but I'm trying to get you there.
You're going through the exercise.
Okay, listen, I'll give you Wake then on the road. Big game. Gonna have to find a way. I know it's laughable in your heart. You say to yourself, what is he doing talking about how difficult this Wake game is? Okay, have you seen us play? I'm telling you, Wake game's difficult. Louisville, who we've all just said we're going to beat, like, just it's just a given. Everybody's like, oh, well, they'll beat Louisville. Louisville beat our ass last year. I mean, that game wasn't competitive. But you got to win that one if we're going to get to 8, okay? So that's fine. By the way, I do like us to beat Louisville. Just saying, I'm not so confident that I'm just like, oh, that's a given.
Boy, happy Monday, everybody.
So Syracuse, yes, you'll beat Syracuse. They're horrible. I wouldn't worry about that. So that would get you to 5. What is that 5 that I got us to now? Yeah, that has you. Basically, I've got us 5-0. Now you've got to beat. Now you're not going to beat North Carolina. I think most people will understand that. You'll beat UMass. That gets you to 6. You're not going to beat Clemson. Then you got to beat NC State. That gets you to 7. And then you'd have to win one more, either against Miami, Boston College, or Florida. I would assume most people are going to say that win is against Boston College, who was one of the more improved teams last year, a ton of returning talent. That's on the road the week before the Florida game and stuck in between Miami and Florida. Okay. It's hard to get to 8. It is hard to get to 8. Now,
I'll agree with you there. I'm a little bit more bullish, but 8's 8. You need some fumble luck, right? Isn't that the one that the phrase I worry about on live radio? You need a little bit of fumble luck.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
And that's where, if you're splitting hairs, which we're going to be splitting hairs in a lot of games, and your kicking game isn't where it needs to be, you don't win the hidden yards, and your trench play is suspect. That's where a 7-5 season where you say, well, we should have won 7 games turns into a 5-7 season. We need to tighten up in those little detail areas in order to be able to win more than our fair share of the 50-50 games. If it's a razor's edge, you got 42 yards to win the game. Are we going to hit it? We're down a point. Like, how do you feel right now? I don't think we're going to make that kick.
I don't.
I don't think it's going to be close. I'm not trying to be mean, but that needs to get better. It needs to get better soon.
Andre writes, North Carolina was supposed to have been a loss last year too. Remember that? Well, yeah, but then if you're going to do that and play that game, Andre, then I'm going to go through all the games in which we were supposed to win. Like, how about Georgia Tech in the first game of the year? I mean, that was supposed to be a win. We can do a whole bunch of losses that were supposed to be wins for Florida State. The Noles won a game that nobody thought they'd win and that the talent suggested they shouldn't have won. You are correct. That was the game against North Carolina. What a magical night, and we all celebrated. How many times were you either at the game, and I know last year was tough because of COVID, or watching at home, in which you sat down on that couch that day with your beverages and your eats and your friends, and you thought, here it comes. We're going to beat that ass today, boys. And then you were stuck going, well, that's a toughie.
Bend over.
We're down 21 in the third. It doesn't look like it's our day today. That happened a lot last year.
You know, guys, I didn't want to say anything, but now that we're in the third quarter, it's occurring to me that it might not be our day. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It doesn't look good, does it, guys? Doesn't look good. Now, I think the best way to be overly optimistic, perhaps, or to engage in, to lean towards a more positive season than not, is not to say that, okay, the results last year mean that we can't get to this other place this year, because the results last year can largely be thrown out. If we're going to do this with the good and the bad, you got to do that. Because
absolutely.
I mean, there were weird games last year across the country, games that made very little sense, where you saw the results and you just thought, oh, this is, I mean, Director Matthew is a Penn State guy. Director Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, did Penn State start 0-5? All right. So
he's nodding, folks.
Yeah.
Off
So,
camera.
you know, they lost to Indiana.
Emphatically nodding. Yeah.
All right. They started 0-5. Now, there's no way, no how in a non-COVID year Penn State starts that season 0-5. To their credit, they fought back and played hard towards the end of the year. I would have never guessed that, because at 0-5, what the hell are you playing for? But they did. They fought hard. Now, I'll give them credit.
You're playing for the Navy and the white.
You're playing for pride, baby. So the point is, that was a weird result. There were a lot of weird results. So maybe you throw away a lot of stuff from last year and you say, well, Jeff, the way I get there, the way I get us to 7 or 8 wins, is that I believe in stability and continuity. And for the first time in a long time, they've had it from year to year. They have the same coaching staff. A lot of these guys came back. They've cleared the path for the kids who are bought in by changing the dynamic in the locker room. So these kids have worked hard this offseason. They've bought in. Coach Storms has done a hell of a job. Coach Atkins is an amazing teacher. So this offensive line is going to take a step forward.
Ooh, my Monday's getting better. Keep
Okay,
going. Keep going.
So all of a sudden, the continuity breeds a little bit more confidence, a little bit more belief, a little bit more togetherness, right? Stick-to-itiveness. And, of course, the staff then figured out what's what with their personnel. They'll call it better. They have the opportunity. Mackenzie Milton did arrive here, so you do have a better quarterback room.
Preach.
So at this point, then, you know, you got Wilson back at tight end, and that's a big deal because that's an extra blocker for a group that could use the help blocking. So all of a sudden you have that. You have a healthy Jashawn Corbin, who looks more explosive, a healthier Keyshawn Helton, who looks a lot more explosive. We can keep going, right? That's the argument you're going to have to make for this to be a radical turnaround. And if you're inclined to want to see that and you're listening to me right now, you're like, you're damn right, Cameron.
We're hulking up over here.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. The problem is you can do all of that, and you can also then turn right around and counter it with doses of reality regarding the personnel and the defense, how bad it was a year ago, and all of the things that have to.
Don't do this to me. Come on now.
It's a fun exercise. I just think that you owe it to yourself to be brutally honest. You know, we're talking about percentages. I'm not telling you they can't in any world get to 7 or 8 wins. Just telling you what seems likely to happen and it's an educated guess, right? It's not a okay.
Eric's believing. See that you got him fired up.
He says we're beating Notre Dame because this home opener losing streak is over September 5th. Go Noles. Drinks on me, Jeff and Tom. Well, I appreciate that, Eric, both for the contribution to the show and for the offer to buy some beers. I'm in on that. Yeah, we got another. You just excited?
No, that was for the offer to buy some beers.
Yeah. You know, there is a beleaguered bunch. They're called Florida State fans. There is a beleaguered bunch. And it's that group that I belong to and you belong to.
Say, don't do the Jimbo thing. Don't say they now. It's we.
I would never say
we are
they.
beleaguered.
Yeah, no. We are beleaguered. And we're so beleaguered in some cases that I think we're prone to tell ourselves we're going to win in September at some point. We have to. I don't know what weird voodoo nonsense who we offended in the football god universe, but could we just stop losing right out the gates in September? It is forever a grand opening, grand closing. It is heartbreaking. It is frustrating, and it doesn't do a lot for morale. But just because I want that to be so does not mean it is. And I'm really tired of playing the Notre Dames of the world out the gate. We need to stop with this nonsense.
LSU's on deck, Georgia.
I know.
Here we go.
Stop it. Big picture, it's great, especially if we're doing home and home, not if we're screwing it up by sending us over to Orlando and New Orleans. I love New Orleans, but I would rather be in Baton Rouge for that game and have them here. Don't do that anymore. If we're going to do home and home, and let's make it happen. But in the interim, let's just do a whole lot of, all right, we're going to start with Jacksonville State, followed up by Syracuse and UMass. September is a grand success. That would be ideal. For now, you got to get punched early. It's what happens.
James B chiming in.
I'm going to get to James when we come back from the break. James, you stepped up, and I appreciate that. Is the summer of more life. First class is always free at Orange Theory Fitness. Weather permitting, that's where I'll be today, right after this show.
Oh, really?
Heading over there. Get it on, baby. Time to get it on. Let's get that heart rate monitor on. Let's challenge ourselves. If you're an active member, you refer a friend right now or upgrade in August and September, you'll receive discounted membership prices for the next 3 months, saving you a ton of money. If you froze your account because you were waiting to wade back in those waters, unfreeze that puppy, and you'll save a bunch of money over the next 3 months as well. Elite members get $30 off for 3 months. Premium members get $50 off for 3 months. That's $150, Tom. I did the math.
That's some good addition there.
How about that? Good stuff. OrangeTheoryFitness.com to learn more. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Like and subscribe.
Your local news now.
A death investigation in southwest Leon County is now considered a murder investigation. LCSO deputies arrived to a home on the 2900 block of Cathedral Drive shortly after 1 p.m. Saturday. They discovered a victim suffering life-threatening injuries inside. The victim would later be pronounced dead at the scene. Investigation led to the arrest of 36-year-old Christopher Harvey, who deputies say lived inside the home with the victim. Harvey allegedly had been arguing with the victim earlier in the day. Deputies say the victim's fatal injuries came from Harvey's actions. Franklin County officials issued a voluntary evacuation order for certain areas of the county ahead of anticipated impacts from Tropical Storm Fred. All barrier islands, low-lying areas, Alligator Point and Bald Point are under the voluntary order, noting that county bridges closed with sustained winds at 45 miles per hour or higher. Emergency vehicles will not be available to reach those areas in that situation. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A tropical storm warning continues until 11 a.m. Monday. Overcast this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Highs around 81. Southeasterly winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms again tonight, 75. Cloudy. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Highs around 86. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 76.
People trust Sellers for better tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Sellers Flooring Advisor Ryan Fitzgerald.
We understand most people don't come in with great knowledge of what they're looking for or what they need. So at Sellers, what we try to do is use our expertise to guide you through the process.
Get Sellers working for you.
We make it easy, and we have the experts on staff to get you where you need to be, and we give you the options.
On Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive. Call 656-8453. Online at sellerstile.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Greg Tish. Hey guys, this is Greg Tish, and you can listen to my show, The Greg Tish Show, every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. But I am very excited, Matty Rowe, about this Thursday at 7 a.m.
Who do we have?
Bert Kreischer.
The Machine.
The Machine is here, and he's going to talk about the Birdie Boy relapse. And I'm so excited to talk to the Machine about his time in Tallahassee and his time at Florida State. Thursday morning, 7 a.m. This is going to be one heck of an interview.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You, the viewer, you, our friends of the program. Thanks for being with us. I greatly appreciate it. Mash that like button. Send it out around the world. Let them know.
Far and wide.
James B., you can hit it if you'd like.
All right, that's a big hand.
My nightmare that has me waking up in cold sweats is that Jordan continues to outperform McKenzie in practice, therefore winning over the team. Then Norvell, out of some sense of responsibility, starts McKenzie, and he sucks. Yeah. I'll address that momentarily. I want to thank April. Woo! Thank you, April. That's awfully kind. She was complimentary of us while contributing to our efforts to perform this show each and every day. Elgin, come on, Elgin. You sound like you're scared of real competition is directed at me. No, I don't have to tackle anybody. Also, I would say this. No, I'm a realist. Elgin, you'll learn that. I'm pragmatic. When Florida State is operating at peak efficiency, when Florida State has the kinds of players that we traditionally have and are amongst the nation's very best football programs, anytime, anywhere, let's get it on. I'm also not afraid of competition in the sense that if you want to have an out-of-conference game, much the way we already do with Florida every year, but you want to add to that ledger by putting another great game in there that's not part of your ACC schedule, such as, say, Notre Dame, as those I won't say it. I sometimes I got to remember language. Anyhow, the point.
Correct.
Yep, I'm fine with that. It's just that you don't have to start every season with that team. Like, I'm not saying don't play LSU. I'm saying don't play them game 1 or game 2. I'm not saying don't play Georgia. Just don't play them in game 1.
Well, that's why I forget who we're playing. LSU next year, I think. Like, we're playing a game on like August 15th or some nonsense. It's like before
it's not August 15th.
I know, I'm joking. I'm being facetious, but we're playing them the week before. We're going like week 0 or week -1 to get a tune-up game in before we travel out to New Orleans. It's the best we could do, but we've got to just stop that. You're right. We need the ramp up. You ever heard of a ramp up? Let's do that instead. Let's ramp it on up.
Big fan of the ramp up.
I like to ramp up.
Yeah, I want to, if you would, just for giggles, let's find those schedules over the next 4 years. And
future opponents?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
lot of fun. I mean, it is.
We also had a contribution from, I believe it was Andre.
Andre says, we will go 8-4 this year with wins over Notre Dame and the U for sure. I'll be at the game against Miami and hope to meet the entire Warchant family. It'd be an honor to meet you, Andre. I hope your optimism proves true. I'm not entirely certain that those are guaranteed wins, but I like the kind of confidence that you're showing there. We'll see. Again, for me, realistic expectations coupled with obvious growth is what this season is about. And what I mean, have whatever expectations you want to have. I mean, that's individual. If you want to think that they're going to go 12-0, well, then more power to you. I would personally say that's absolutely not going to happen and a bit far-reaching to say the least. But if that's what you want your expectation to be, then so be it. I'm not one of these guys who says, well, I'm going to project this low, so then therefore if they happen to perform a little bit better than that, it's a happy accident or a nice surprise. No, I'm just going to tell you what I think that they're going to do, and then we'll judge it from there according to those expectations in my mind. So that's fine. I think they're a 6-6 team. Maybe. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they went to 5-7. Vegas and I happen to agree, by the way. Las Vegas, who doesn't have a vested interest in Florida State whatsoever or an emotional attachment in any way, has the over-under set at 5.5. So that's what they believe. That's fine. And they tend to be somewhere in the neighborhood. So I could see that, but that's fine. I mean, that the half has you deciding one way or the other. Yay or nay, lower or higher. That's fine. I'm good with that. I happen to believe that if they stay healthy, then you're much more apt to see 6-6. I just don't know you can count on that. I just think the depth is something that is disconcerting.
Some position group is going to get affected. It's just a matter of which ones. And it's like we're playing with a battleship board, right? And there's ships all over the board. So there's a good chance if you guess you're going to find a ship in our grid. That's kind of like what we're playing with our 2-deep. I do have the future schedules.
Well, I know we play Duquesne next year.
That's it. It's Duquesne.
And it's embarrassing, and they should never have scheduled that game. It's pitiful. And I'm not saying you can't schedule somebody before you play LSU, but Duquesne, they don't even have the same number of scholarships. They don't have 85 scholars. This drives me nuts, by the way. Stop doing that. That's not cool. Don't schedule Duquesne and then tell me about player safety or any of that other nonsense. That's not what we do, but go ahead.
Well, what I'd say is remember, folks, August the 27th, 2022, the home opener. Be there in droves at Doak Campbell Stadium
for
as we
Duquesne.
take on Duquesne, also known as the LSU Pep Rally. 2023, we start with LSU unless we schedule Duquesne again. But it's in Orlando on September the 3rd is the LSU game.
God almighty with the Orlando nonsense.
We then play less than a week later. We play Southern Miss. So, all right, that's next up. Those are the first 2 weeks of 2023. In 2024, we don't have an opening week game scheduled just yet, but we're playing Memphis in week 2. Playing
hammer Memphis.
That's hammer. 2025, don't have a date yet, but we're playing Alabama. I'm assuming that's going to open the season.
At this point, one would like to believe by 2025, you can schedule whomever you want because you're out of the woods. The growth has occurred. We've witnessed the program pick itself up and get to a place where, once again, it is amongst the nation's top 10. And these matchups don't seem so daunting, don't seem so overwhelmingly one-sided. When you're right and you're recruiting the way that they're currently recruiting, I might add, exceptionally well, and you see this uptick in performance and results, then obviously you have a chance to go bring in the best players in the country, and playing a Georgia or an Alabama or an LSU means very little. Like, let's get it on. Like, yes, I'm all for it.
At that point, Nick Saban will be making $27.5 million as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, I think, by 2025. I didn't realize we signed a home and home with Alabama. I thought it was.
No, that's awesome.
So in 2026, here's our non-conference slate: Notre Dame, Florida, Alabama. We also will host Clemson that year in 2026.
Well, at that point, it's a 16-team playoff. You could go 10-2, and you're good to go.
By that year, Dabo will have moved to Alabama. Clemson will have crumbled. He will have left them in shambles, and that game doesn't resemble what it does right now. And then in 27, 28, that's the Georgia series. And I believe that's also close to an opener, if not an outright opener.
But that is in Athens and here.
That is correct. As is the Alabama series. The Alabama series is home and home.
Tuscaloosa and here. Yes, do that. Go back and fix it. Go back and fix the LSU series. Let's go play in Baton Rouge and have them come here. Thomas says, guys, I don't understand all the kerfuffle with Milton versus Travis. I've always assumed from day one both were going to play and play a ton. Woo! Thank you, Thomas. There's an inside joke where if I were to phrase thank you, Thomas, differently, none of you would get it, but I so want to do that right now. I just want to do that, but I can't do it, and none of you would get it, so sorry.
It's over my head, too.
I know you don't get it either. My wife and I were at a concert, and the keyboardist broke the keyboard, and his name was Thomas, and the lead singer said, thank you, Thomas.
Oh, man.
And it always made me laugh because it was passive-aggressive. He was a little frustrated, and it was good. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Stay with us. Hang it.
Everyone has their own routine after a long day. For me, I like to take a walk with my dog, get some fresh air, maybe relax on the porch, and lay in my hammock in a nice shady spot. No matter what your routine is, you know the sound of those mosquitoes. It starts with just, then another, and then another. And before you know it, you're literally slapping yourself, running for safety inside. Paul's Termite and Pest Control has an inexpensive solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program that treats the grounds, flower beds, shrubs, and standing water, and it controls mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard and quit smacking yourself across the face. Enjoy your yard again, mosquito-free. Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control today for your free consultation for the elimination of termites or any other pest. Visit Paul's online at callpauls.com. That's callpauls.com.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to drink water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
Do you know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
And that's funny. July 28th, Duquesne, right before Ricky Skaggs and Trisha Yearwood. Yeah, there you go. That's well done.
It's where it is on the calendar.
For people who know the old show and know what he's referencing. Okay, so you probably saw this over the weekend. If you're new to the program, you'll wonder why I bring it up. I don't know why, but it haunts me when people find cards and or long-lost items that are then resold, like Antique Roadshow and stuff like that, and make millions of dollars, because it has been my dream to do this, my dream to find said item that I could then turn around and, hey, look at this. I found this painting. Turns out it's a Van Gogh. $1.8 million. Peace out. Tom's hosting the Jeff Cameron Show.
There it is.
That'd
be really awkward. Welcome into the Jeff Cameron Show. I'm Tom, your host.
Yeah, that'd be great. Law firms do it all the time. Establish
your name is still on the firm.
Legendary name.
I've got to work to make partner. I'm not there yet.
A T206 Honus Wagner baseball card, Tom, sold for $6.606 million. Woo!
That's a payday.
Which includes a 20% buyer's premium. That happened early this morning. It shatters the record for the highest selling sports card of all time. The previous record belonged to a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card that sold for $5.2 million in January. A record later matched by a 2003-2004 Deck Exquisite Collection LeBron James.
It's a nice flourish you put on his name.
Yeah. The seller of the Wagner card is an East Coast collector. East Coast. But he wants to remain anonymous so that he doesn't get whacked. The Wagner, as in Honus, stands out because of its condition, said Brian Dwyer, president of Robert Edward Auctions. He bought it or brokered the deal. There's only about 60 of these that we can confirm. When we first started doing the show years ago, Tom, together, I think at that time they had only ever found 7 mint condition Honus Wagner cards. They're up to 60.
60, yeah. I think you're right. It wasn't the single digits.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like the 10th one being a big deal, and we were talking about, you're devaluing my card.
This card is one of the best examples out there, and it's certainly one of the best examples available in terms of authentic, good, or best. Those are the ratings. This Wagner card received a grade of 3 from Sports Card Academy. I don't care about all that stuff. All I know is that it was in mint condition, obviously. It was printed in 1909. They finished making those prints in 1911. And now it's worth, according to what it just sold for, over $6 million. And if you're watching at home, this is what that looks like. There you go. There's the card.
That's well done to play to the visual crowd as well.
Trying to help everybody out. By the way, Dwyer noted it doesn't hurt that the Wagner card, since 1939, when Jefferson Burdick valued the Wagner card at $50 in his first ever United States card collector's catalog, later known as the American Card Catalog, quote, we're going back 80 years. People knew it was very valuable even then. Fair enough. Man. Can you imagine finding a card, turning it around for $6 million? Damn it!
Nobody would know. I wouldn't tell them. You know, it would come up in a news story, but nobody would know on the fly, except very, very, very few people within my inner circle. So, like, you'd know, but I'd just disappear.
I know because you would have just randomly given me $1 million.
That's great. I would disappear.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to Tom? No call, no show. That's not like him. And then you're just like, no, it's not.
I'm just chuckling.
What is like him? He's a very generous guy.
Yeah.
That's what's like him.
To call it a day. I'm going back. I've done this so many times. I've gone back through my collection that wasn't thrown out by my mother. You can tell that there's a little bit of...
Yeah, right. By my mother. Yeah, I heard it.
I also had a drum set get thrown out. Can you believe that? When my parents moved, they threw out my baseball card collection by and large. They saved some, which they later let get ruined by weather by placing them outside. Not good. And they just up and threw my drums away. A kit. How does that happen?
That's deliberately.
That's mean.
Deliberately. That's how it happens.
That's just not what you do.
So I've got to be a half professional here with the lead up to the top of the hour. The mouse I have is down, so I can't give you some music.
I don't need music.
You've got about 10 seconds left.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and on Warchant TV. Like and subscribe.
5 seconds.
Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
If it's happening in the capital city, you'll hear it first on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The U.S. military sending another battalion of about 1,000 troops to help safeguard the Kabul airport during a chaotic evacuation. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby.
We will continue to expand our security presence as needed. And to that end, the Secretary has authorized today the immediate deployment to Kabul of the 3rd Battalion of the 82nd Airborne Division, their brigade combat team that was headed to Kuwait.
The speed at which the Taliban seized power has stunned the Biden administration. American University political science professor James Thurber says President Biden can't lay any blame on the previous administration.
The buck stops here. He's commander-in-chief. I don't think he can use that argument anymore. Obviously, he was implementing what the last administration had negotiated, which was not a strong negotiation for the United States.
President Biden will be addressing the nation on the Afghanistan situation this afternoon at 3:45 Eastern. Also at townhall.com, Haitians are searching for survivors and the dead in collapsed buildings following that powerful earthquake over the weekend as hospitals overflow with patients. Thousands more in the quake zone are sleeping outside. Officials have raised the death toll from Saturday's earthquake to at least 1,297, and the devastation could soon worsen. Tropical Depression Grace is predicted to reach Haiti later tonight, bringing the potential for heavy rain, flooding, and landslides. The country's Civil Protection Agency says that magnitude 7.2 earthquake also left at least 5,700 people injured. On Wall Street, stocks have been trading lower. The Dow is down 11 points. The S&P 500, 3 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt and I couldn't pay my bills. I was feeling so bad. I got to a point where I needed some help. So I reached out and contacted Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976 to talk to a certified counselor.
They were able to take all of my different payments and put them all together.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
And they were actually able to work with my creditors. I've been able to pay off close to $15,000 in the last 18 months.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows who Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. This is. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
These recruiting updates are nothing but fluff.
Are you wasting your time again on free blogs and social media to get the scoop on FSU recruiting?
Yeah, it's all bait and switch. You're on Warchant.com. What's really going on with FSU recruiting?
Could be another top 5 class, but for the real scoop, you'll need to get your own Warchant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer. Just sign up and you'll get full access through signing day. And nobody has more accurate and timely information than Warchant.com.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And I'm on. There is no music to start this hour because of a mouse. That's right, a mouse, but not a living, breathing mouse, but rather one that you use for your computer, and Tom's broke. That's how we roll around these parts. Just
That's all right.
broken mouses.
Now I'm going to procure the services of one Ira Schafel. I'll be ready in just a moment.
Okay, beautiful thing. Ira Schafel, managing editor of Warchant.com, set to join us as he's wont to do on Mondays. In the interim, thank you for listening on Real Talk Radio 93.3, and also I would invite you to watch the show on YouTube, Warchant YouTube television. That's right, Warchant TV as it's also known. Multimedia network. Got you covered on your drive home, all that good stuff. So, yay. Make sure you're subscribed, you like, and you listen. It's a beautiful thing. We got it working now. We're good to go. You should see the panic on the other side of the glass.
We're good, man. He's there. He's laughing at me, too. Ira is on the phone. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah, a little bit of a weird situation. Let's bring in our man, Ira Schafel, Warchant.com, the website. Hello, Ira. How the hell are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Better than Tom and the broken mouse. So let's go. What do we know about the scrimmage? I mean, I've got my guys. You've got your guys. We've all tried to glean something from what happened with the scrimmage. Sounds like the first team defense carried the day early, but that in time the offense got moving a little bit here. Give me your thoughts on what you're finding out about that scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's I don't think anything was like groundbreaking in terms of based on what we've seen from the first week. I mean, I think the defense has been ahead of the offense the whole way through, and I think that bore out in the first half of the scrimmage. Then as they went on, the offense started making some plays, which is certainly promising. But you always wonder sometimes they start making substitutions on defense and maybe making different calls and things like that. So maybe that resulted in the offense finding themselves a little bit. But it's definitely encouraging that they did, because I've seen plenty of practices and even some scrimmages in the past where if one side of the ball gets the upper hand, the other side kind of gets in quicksand and can never turn it around. The fact that the offense did turn around and make some plays, and Keyshawn Helton and Jayshawn Corbin and some of those guys, they really need to step up this year, made big plays. I think that's it's definitely encouraging.
Two names that I think have been consistently solid so far in these practices and now the scrimmage. You're right, Corbin, Helton. I know it's hard to rely on a true freshman, but Malik McClain is another guy that has played extremely well. And then, of course, there is the play of one Jordan Travis. What do you make of where we're at so far? I know it's just our assessment from afar, and we didn't get to see this scrimmage. But Jordan Travis right now, I think many would say, has been the more consistent of the two quarterbacks.
Yeah, he looks good, man. He's looked good. I thought he looked pretty good in the spring, and I think he's looked better in preseason camp. I mean, just every time you see him, he seems to carry himself with more confidence. He's throwing the ball well. I think a lot of us are waiting for 2018 Mackenzie Milton to show up and just surge ahead in the race, and that hasn't happened. If I'm handicapping it right now, I think, Jordan Travis looks like the better quarterback from what we've seen in practice. And then obviously, what he can do with his legs, which is a huge added dimension. So right now, I think he's ahead, but I think we've all seen what Mackenzie Milton can be, and you see flashes of it here and there. But if he's going to win the job, he's going to need to do that more consistently. Now, part of the problem is, they haven't had a lot of time to throw, and he's not a huge guy back there, obviously. So if your offensive line's getting pushed back in the backfield, it's going to have a tough time for a shorter quarterback. Not that Jordan Travis is tall, but that's part of the problem too. I think as that offensive line gets better and starts playing better, I think it sounds like in the scrimmage maybe they made some strides. If the offensive line starts playing better, can hold their own, then maybe you get a clearer picture of whether or not Mackenzie can get back to that old form.
I speculated, Ira, last hour that no matter how this quarterback battle plays out, we're not going to be told before that first game against Notre Dame by Mike Norvell who the starter is. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I felt that way all along. I mean, there's no benefit to it from a standpoint of, sometimes a coach will want the quarterback to be announced because, you want everybody on the team to know, okay, who's the leader? Who are you rallying around? Who's the guy that, is going to lead the meetings and all those types of things? And I don't think they need that. Mackenzie, whether or not Mackenzie is the starting quarterback or not, I think he's still a leader on this team and maybe the leader on the offense just because of his personality, his experience, his charisma. Jordan Travis isn't that big of a personality. So I don't think it's necessarily, if you name Jordan Travis the starter, I don't think all of a sudden those roles are going to change. So I think from that standpoint, I don't think there's a huge benefit to naming it earlier. And on the other side, it just makes Notre Dame have to prepare for two quarterbacks that are pretty different. And I also think they're both going to play. If Mackenzie Milton wins the job, I've always felt all along that Jordan Travis is going to play some. If Jordan Travis wins the job, I think there's not as many reasons to bring Mackenzie in. It's not like he brings a vastly different skill set, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if for a series here or there, Mike Norvell brought Jordan to the sideline and said, "Hey, let's watch it from here for a little bit and let Mackenzie play as well." So I think they're both going to play one way or the other.
Competition continues. That's what this camp is about, raising the floor, getting guys to compete at a high level at every segment group. Who, in your mind, the practices you've seen, have been the most delightful surprises? And I don't mean as in, oh, my God, this player was once bad, he's now good. I mean, who looks the best to you as in they've taken a big leap forward? For instance, for me, I would say, and we might agree on this because I know we've talked about it, but man, Keyshawn Helton looks explosive again, and it's exciting to hear the coaches talk about him in that way. But there are other candidates. Who else would you name that fall into that category?
Yeah, he's definitely probably at the top of the list. I mean, you look back at last year and you say, okay, well, obviously he had a big excuse coming off of the major injury, and it was really a surprise to some people that he was even able to play football last year after as devastating an injury as he had the year before. But then you started to wonder, okay, is it ever going to come back? Is he going to trust that again? And sure enough, he has, because a guy at his size, if he doesn't come back and be, think back to like Anquan Bowden coming back from an ACL. Well, he still had his body type. And so he could still do things even if he wasn't dynamic. With Keyshawn Helton, he has to be dynamic, and we've seen that. So, yeah, he's been at the top of the list. I think defensively, a couple of these young guys, man, that really blown me away. I think a lot of the returning guys look about what I expected. I thought Jashaun Corbin was going to continue to get better because we saw him come on late last season, and he's doing that. Lawrence Tofili, I think you still see every once in a while when he gets the ball, you see that he's electric. But I've been really impressed by some of these younger guys. And I think you really, on the defensive side of the ball, Josh Farmer on the defensive line, he looks like a guy that can play. In the secondary, Kevin Noles and Hunter Washington, the freshman defensive backs, obviously look like they can play. So I think one of the things that's started to impress me is the evaluations that this coaching staff made in the recruiting process, especially in a year like COVID, where they couldn't get out on the road. It was all done by a film and talking to coaches and talking to other coaches and players and research. I think they hit on a really high number or percentage of these incoming recruits. I've been really impressed by this freshman class. As you mentioned, Malik McLean, Josh Burrell. I mean, that group is playing at a pretty high level for freshmen.
You know what I get excited about is one of the redshirt freshmen, because we know athletically he's a freak and he had to play hurt and probably a little confused about his role a year ago. But Travis Jay continues to have a very, very good camp. I think if they're going to get to where they want to get defensively, he's got to be a splash play, kind of a big game player. And I think he's probably taking on that role right now and taking more responsibility for it, probably because he's healthy. But he is what I'm told has had a good camp as well.
Yeah, and the thing about him is you see the flash plays, but I really think, not to sound like a coach, but I really think it is about the consistency, because you see there are times where you think, oh man, that's the guy, and he's gotten so much bigger and stronger. He's always been a dynamic athlete, but then there are other times where he's trailing a play or maybe doesn't read it right, and then you start wondering, okay, well, when's that consistency going to come? And it seems like it's starting to come. But man, that's the biggest mystery to me in all of this is how they're going to figure out who they're playing in that secondary. Because at any given time when you look out there, the safeties might be, Travis Jay and Brendan Gant. They might be Brendan Gant and Akeem Dent. They might be Akeem Dent and Renardo Green. There's just so many different guys that they're playing in that secondary. And there's a couple guys that haven't. Jarian Jones has not been practicing, one of the corners. Amico Dotson's been in and out of the lineup. But to me, that's one of the things I'm going to be curious about is how many of these guys actually play and how they decide who to play when. I mean, he talked today about the linebackers. The two linebackers he talked about were Kalen DeLoach and DJ Lundy, not Amari Gaynor and Steven Dix. And so it's great to have that competition, but I really want to see what it looks like when they narrow down who's actually going to play.
Yeah, and by the way, you mentioned him earlier, but you're going to have to find a way to get Kevin Noles on the field. You were talking about Brendan Gant and, Travis Jay and Renardo Green, but Noles is going to have to find a way to be on the field because that guy will hit you and he's instinctual. And I know he's young, but we all love him from what we've seen. I'm assuming the coaches feel the same, but every time I watch him play, I'm like, that's a guy. That is a guy. He's not just another guy. He's a guy. So it'll be fascinating. Always appreciate it, Ira. I'll talk to you real soon, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yeah, take care. That's Ira Schafel, Warchant.com, managing editor. And it is exciting because they do have names. They do have guys that get you pumped up. Like, for example, this is not a guy that offensively you're going to hear a ton about as the season moves on. He's not a guy that they're going to rely on a ton. But that, to my mind, has kind of surprised me a little bit. Darian Williamson has looked good. Now, again, you're going to hear about Joshua Burrell before you hear about him, and you're certainly going to hear about Malik McClain before you hear about him. But he looks like he's got, a little something to him. So, it's hard to be patient. It's just hard to be patient when you think you got one.
That's the thing, too, we talked about last hour, injuries. Where do they happen? Because certain segment groups, you can't afford it, given the lack of depth on this team, in this program. And that's the other side of it is when you're in a transitional place like this and you've got talented freshmen, you're going to have to rely on them more than you wanted to or more than you should. By any rights, these kids should be developing for a full year or two. But if they can help you right now and make mistakes along the way, you kind of have to eat it. It's not like, there's a 10-win season on the line. If you go 6-6 and you develop 3 or 4 key freshmen that can, play for you a year or two down the line and make huge plays, then so be it.
It's the most important aspect of the season because we have so many conversations about, what's the record going to be? But I keep coming back to how are they going to look? What are they going to look like? Are there reasons to believe that this thing is definitely headed in the right direction? Like, if you give me that, I'm good with everything else. I'll deal with the record. I'll deal with whatever happens. Most people don't feel that way because results matter. And if you're 5-7, it'll be hard to find a glimmer of hope. But that gets back to the conversation surrounding how you lose. How you lose will matter greatly when you do. Last year, we were all bereft of hope, and our palms were to the sky as we looked to the heavens wondering, when was this ever going to get turned around? Because we weren't competitive.
Huge difference between not good enough or not deep enough at a position and doesn't look like you can compete at all. There's too much of that third category going on the last 3 or 4 years. If you can eliminate that for most games outside of the Clemson game, I think in some ways people could be accepting of that independent of record. But you're right. Still, if you rack up 7 or 8 losses, that's a toughie.
See, goes back to my saying all the time on the air, losses happen for a reason. When they do, they elicit emotions. And you can be as even keel and logical as they come. You can sit across, as I have, my father and say, Dad, my dad, as he gets older, becomes much more, oddly, despite all the experience of going to games, of a fanboy than anything else. He calls me the other night to tell me they're going to win 8 games. He really, really is excited about the direction of the program. I said, Dad, it's possible to be excited about the direction of the program, meaning you believe you have the right head coach. And to also admit that they're not anywhere close to good enough to win 8-9 games just yet. But we are so filled with visions of what Florida State has always been for the most part in the last 30 years, especially in this conference, that it's difficult to accept that it's going to be a transitional period. It's a tough thing, but you can have the right guy and you can have those vibes and feel those things, and just the wins don't happen as quickly as we'd like them to.
Two sides of that same coin, though. I would say because we are in the ACC, that is largely what the ACC has been for 20 years, say for like that 2014 blip on the radar, there is more opportunity to climb up the win total.
You're not in the SEC West taking on Texas A&M, right, LSU, and Alabama and Auburn back to back to back to back. Yes, no, you're not doing that. So you're right. But when you're objectively, empirically not better from a talent standpoint than NC State, or for that matter,
that's hurtful.
Well, it sucks. It's hard. But Bam Knight is a good player. He's better than that's where you're at. Also, continuity really matters. And I think that's the biggest thing here. I think it's not so much that you would say player for player, Florida State doesn't belong on the field with NC State. It's that NC State has, and look, I'm not a Dave Doran guy, but I'm using this as an example. 6 of the last 7 seasons, I believe it is, they've had a winning record. They've got a lot coming back offensively and defensively.
Yeah, they're too deep is better. Markedly
That's
better
what I
than
mean.
ours.
That's what
Front line, I don't know. Maybe.
But in the trenches,
Yeah.
where it matters, they are, and they've got continuity year to year. Well, they won 8-9 games last year. So that's where when you upset the apple cart as much as we did, I'm not going to relitigate all this, but Jimbo flew the plane into the side of the mountain and checked out. Once he checked out, we had to make a move. We hired Willie Taggart. I thought that would work out. I was wrong. It didn't work out. He did a poor job. They had to fire him a lot sooner than anybody could have envisioned. Now, all of a sudden, you do that, and you bring in a third coaching staff in 4 years. There is such a lack of continuity and instability that reigns supreme in that moment. It's going to take you years, not games, not a singular season, but and then you throw in COVID, which nobody could have predicted, of course. So you get screwed every which way to Sunday. Now you're talking about a 3-year rebuild. And in essence, and that's what people can't stand to hear because they don't like the idea of it. So you're telling me, Jeff, we're not going to win 8 games this year, and you're telling me next year is not going to be a run for the roses? No, I'm telling you, we're going to be trying to climb daily and watch this team get better. That's what we're going to be.
But we're in it together. That's what you got to remember.
All as one, Tom.
We're all here together. We are climbing as one.
Oh, man. It's a toughie. If you get damage done to your home, surrounding area during this storm, and I knock on wood that you will not, I hope you do not. But if you're suffering from storm damage, call my friends at T-Spark Construction and Enterprises. They will, roofing and construction. They know how to work with the insurance companies and help navigate the insurance process to help you get your home back to pre-claim condition. Let's put it that way.
Oh, there you go. I like that term.
Pre-claim condition. Wind damage, missing shingles, call T-Spark to inspect your roof. You're going to want that number, 850-766-1340.
Let's get our program to the pre-checkout condition. Pre-Jimbo checkout condition. That's where we want to go.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hello, Seminole faithful. This is William Barnum Floyd. My family likes so countless accolades, the national titles, the 14 straight years of excellence, the College Football Hall of Fame. But as the Crafts and I reflected back, it was the man that made the difference. A man of faith, a man who earned the respect and loyalty of his players and coaches because he led by example. Many people call Coach a saint. I call him a prophet. He told me I would help him win his first national championship, I would get my degree, and I would play in the NFL. And dadgummit, everything he said came true. We will go forward. I'll call the games. Chris will sell cards and football games will be played. And the spirit of Bobby Bowden will live on 365 days a year in the many lives that he touched and the dynasty that he built. Rest in peace, Coach. Rest in peace.
Stay cool this summer by planning ahead now. Call E&B Heating and Air and ask for the AC Tune-Up Special for just $99. $99 now can save you hundreds later. Call 575-9119. That's 575-9119 for E&B Heating and Air.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
That was fun. Caught you off guard, didn't I?
The coaches poll. We were close. I used to have an AP poll button as well, but that just didn't catch on as quick as the coaches poll did. And how could it not, right?
Well, the AP poll, the AP poll is that's actually, you know what's fun to think about with the AP poll? Just being a kid. And thinking about football.
Oh, yeah.
USA Today coaches poll and the AP poll, and it used to come out.
The coaches poll.
It was always, again, we have check marks. You have check marks of the offseason to let you know where you're at and how close you are to a dream being realized, which is the start of college football, which is today. Today's the 16th, my friend. Brother, are we 9 days away from the first game? Is that right?
Well, I know they play the weekend of the 28th.
But I thought they played the 25th.
There may be a game of some kind.
Go check, see that Nebraska Illinois game or something like that. There are a couple of games where I'm like, whoa. We're very, very close. Matthew and I at the old place of employment, we're doing a countdown together every day where we would argue about, is it better to say 3 weeks or 21 days? Is it better to say close to a month or less than a month? Or phrasing mattered. But, I feel like we may have just entered into single digits. And that is fun to say out loud. Single digits until the start of the season. Is that right?
So Nebraska, Illinois is the 28th, Saturday the 28th. We're getting there.
There's a game on a Thursday. You got to find it.
Well, it might be the Thursday before Labor Day weekend. Wednesday, September the 1st, you got UAB, Jacksonville State.
That's well past. I'm telling you, I think there's a game on the 27th or 25th.
All right.
Search the world over.
I'll try FCS, but aren't they
I don't have
Are they playing in the spring these days, or are they doubled down this year?
All right, your preseason AP Top 25 stunner. Alabama's number 1 coming off their 6th national title under Nick Saban. Garnering 47 of 63 first-place votes from the panel of sports writers and broadcasters in the poll presented by your friends at Regions Bank. Oklahoma is number 2.
Wow, you went with the read there.
I did
some
it just
free love.
I just did it for the hell of it because it was fun. Oklahoma's number 2, just ahead of number 3, Clemson. Each received 6 first-place votes. Then you get Ohio State, which lost to Alabama in the last season's championship game, is number 4 after receiving 1 first-place vote. Then, if you want the money, this is where you go, kids. You can get Georgia probably right now at plus 800 to win the national championship. I'm taking Georgia plus 800 to win the national championship.
Okay, with potato chips.
Yeah, well, I'm sprinkling some pizza money at Georgia because they're going to win the East easily. There's nobody in the East that's going to challenge them, especially not you, Florida. And from there, they've got one game, right? It's the Alabama game. You probably have the best offensive line in college football at UGA currently. Their defense was the best defense in the country a year ago. JT Daniels, come on, baby. Don't suck. This is your time, Georgia. Kirby has brought in boatloads of elite players. Look at the recruiting the last 6 years. Go look at the last 5 years. Go look at recruiting the last 5 years. Go look at what that Georgia team has done. They are loaded for bear. Now, Georgia fans are tired of hearing that. They're frustrated, but there's no reason this team can't sit eye to eye with Alabama. So if you're going on odds and you're just going where you'd like to, see a great return on your investment, Georgia, if Georgia, and this is the best part, because you can get them now, I think it's plus 250 to win the SEC, but if I've got them winning the national championship, then I'll go ahead and throw a little on the 250 as well. You got the game against Alabama. If you win that game, you're going to the college football playoff, obviously. And if you beat Alabama in that game, then you're capable, clearly, of winning a national championship. So if you want, when you make that investment, you sit back and you watch that game knowing that this is for you to make the haul that I'm projecting.
Well, I think also you watch the Clemson game with bated breath because if they win that, it might be a freebie. Even if they lose to Alabama in the SEC title game, but they beat Clemson to start the season, they may get an at-large place in the top 4.
Well, and here's the thing. If you think they're going to lose to Clemson in that game, then wait to grab them because you'll get better odds on them winning the national championship.
Very smart.
So if you're a sporting guy or gal, wait on that game if you think they're going to lose. Now, I don't think they're going to lose. I think they're going to beat Clemson. But if you think they're going to lose to Clemson, fine. Wait on it. Let them lose. See the overreaction. Grab Georgia to rebound, win the SEC East, and beat Alabama in the SEC championship game and go to the playoffs, presumably for a return matchup at some point against Clemson. But, I mean, that's kind of the way to play that. I think they're going to win that game, so I already took them because the odds are going to go down, and they're not going to be as good for me. If they beat Clemson, everybody's going to jump on them to win the national title.
That's one thing I was thinking about as I was considering win total wagers, and I remember Clemson's original line. I don't know if it made it to all the books, but you know how they release them way too early, and it was 11.5. It was basically, are they going to go undefeated in the regular season? It comes down to week 1. I mean, you're playing the Georgia game right there, and so the question would be, do you get better odds, Georgia money line in that game, or on the Clemson under the 11.5? I don't know if their win total is shifted down. I can't see why the ACC would impact it at all, though, given that outside of the Bulldogs test, there really isn't a big one for Clemson.
I had so much fun, and I can't share everything just yet, but I'm going to be doing a show on YouTube, and it's an exciting time for me and to be partnered with our friends at Warchant doing some things. But I'm having to put together for these first shows games that I like, teams that I like, totals that I like, unders that I like. I will tell you this, that and this doesn't give away everything. I don't love Notre Dame's win total this year. I'm going under 9. I think it's tough to lose 55% of your production from a year ago, which is what they lost. It's tough to lose Ian Book and replace him with Jack Cohn. I think, you bring in a dink and dunk passer from Wisconsin. You lose an awful lot. Now, they'll have a good offensive line. They always do, even though they're replacing 4 out of 5 starters. This is the argument for Florida State fans that the Noles will beat Alabama, that they have
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. They're not beating Alabama. That they'll beat Notre Dame is that there's so much production lost in turnover. And even though they have a top 10 pick at safety, even though they are a talented group with a good offensive line, replacing 4 of the 5 all ACC offensive linemen from Notre Dame, if you will, after that singular season. That's a lot to replace, and a new quarterback in a road environment at night, crazy atmosphere. We think about the energy in the room, in the stadium. We think about, obviously, whatever tribute they do on the big screen for Bobby on the field beforehand. It'll be electrifying. There's no doubt. If you can get off to a good start and create doubt. Notre Dame, again, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of new pieces. If Florida State gets out to a lead with that crowd, with that energy, and an emboldened group who suddenly begins to think that they can, as opposed to having all the evidence in the past that they couldn't, then maybe, just maybe, that upset happens. That's what you're banking on. Man, nobody wants that more than me. Nobody. It would be incredible to watch that play out. But
Well, I can flash forward to Sunday at 4 p.m., the day that we play that game, because we will have our pregame show on these airwaves and Warchant TV. 4 p.m. We get to the keys to the game, right? Stop Kyron Williams because of all the reasons you mentioned. Their offensive line, they're still getting used to each other, building chemistry. Quarterback doesn't scare you all that much, at least relative to what Ian Book could do, and he wasn't even that great either, but he was good enough. It's Kyron Williams. How much can Kyron Williams do? Because he went for $185 on Florida State last year.
Stop the run, make him throw the ball, make Cone beat you. He's a average quarterback. If he beats you, you tip your cap. Now, maybe we're not good enough, but I'm going to make him beat me. Yes,
100%.
Absolutely. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV on YouTube. Hang in there with us.
Your local news now.
After 13 trial days, a coronavirus scare, and positive tests in the jury, juror dismissals, trial pauses, and over a day of deliberating, the jury returned a verdict for J.T. Burnett. The jury found Burnett guilty of extortion, honest services mail fraud, travel act, and lying to the FBI. Jury found Burnett not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, honest services mail fraud, and sentencing is set for October 28th at 1 p.m. With heavy participation in the upcoming forecast due to Tropical Storm Fred, Leon County and the city of Tallahassee has opened sandbag locations for residents. Sandbags are limited to 25 bags per household and can be found at Mike Blankenship Skate Park on Jackson Bluff Road or the south parking lot of the Northwood Center, located at 1940 North Monroe Street. You will need to bring your own shovel to fill bags. The site will be open until the storm threat has passed and is determined there is no longer a need. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by McEnmore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McEnmoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A tropical storm warning continues until 11 a.m. Monday. Overcast this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Highs around 81. Southeasterly winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms again tonight, 75. Cloudy. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Highs around 86. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 76.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. This summer, you can save money and stay comfortable. Ask about our annual service agreement with no overtime charges ever. At Barano Heating and Air, we're always there for you.
Online at BaranoAC.com. Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Greg Tish.
Hey guys, this is Greg Tish, and you can listen to my show, The Greg Tish Show, every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. But I am very excited, Matty Rowe, about this Thursday at 7 a.m. Who do we have? Bert Kreischer. The Machine. The Machine is here, and he's going to talk about the Birdie Boy relapse. And I'm so excited to talk to the Machine about his time in Tallahassee and his time at Florida State. Thursday morning, 7 a.m. This is going to be one heck of an interview.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Home on Navy deployments by cutting the days left by 1, then adding and a wake up. Yes, we do the same too. for a long time now. I have done that because it does shorten the length of time in which the event at hand that we're most excited to see takes place. How much of the NFL preseason did you catch over the weekend? That was a lot of fun. I watched a ton of games. As expected, Justin Fields looked good for Chicago. I think they're got a lot to be excited about there. I'm interested to see, the time frame for Trey Lance is different than what it is obviously for Fields, just because of how little football he played in college. But man, there were a couple of throws, including the one to the far side of the field after rolling left, that suggests that arm strength is no joke. It's exciting to watch young quarterbacks.
It is, especially when you're all settled with your own team. And as you heard on these airwaves on Saturday night, the Buccaneers, they lost, unfortunately, in a meaningless game
That didn't matter at all.
Cincinnati Bengals. But Jaquez Patrick had a good night for the Bengals. That was good. He made it through the first round of cuts, so good for Jaquez.
Yep.
I watched a fair amount this weekend. I enjoyed it, man. The NFL had an excellent season last year. Where college was disappointing during COVID, the NFL delivered. It was a very entertaining product week in and week out. And it's not because the Bucs were good. I'm talking about a random game. There were years, maybe even a decade, where every offense looked exactly the same. It was boring. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Dust? Yeah, there we go.
You can do it.
Well, I wanted to say statuesque quarterback next. I was setting it up for that, but whatever. The point being, the NFL was homogenized. It was boring. Now it's exciting, and I find myself wanting to tune into the preseason more.
Bengal Tyler, who goes back a ways, man, to when I was doing morning shows way back when. This guy's been around forever. He moved out to Denver, and he writes Houday. Yeah, Tyler, you can do that. I'll let you, because you're the only Cincinnati Bengals fan on earth. There are none but you. That's it.
We know one other one, Vance, because he likes all the Kentucky teams.
That's true. I forgot
So
it. Sorry about that, Vance.
There are two.
I mean, goodness gracious. There are two Cincinnati Bengals fans in all of the NFL. It's amazing.
Well, the NFL is doing a lot better if Cincinnati takes on Cleveland, and you kind of want to watch it. Could be interesting.
We're at the stage of the offseason where every game that you lay out there sounds exciting. You can just be like, well, what do you think about that Cleveland-Jacksonville game? Whoa, can't wait.
That's true.
Can't wait.
That's
I'm going
interesting.
to watch it. Yeah, well, they played over the weekend, and I did watch some of it. But we are coming back to this because if you're new to the show, you need to know this number. It's important. It's an ATM. Guys, it's free money. You don't even have to trust me per se. Just look at the numbers. John Harbaugh cares deeply. He cares very, very deeply about winning preseason games. It's insane. I believe that is Baltimore's 18th or 19th consecutive win in the preseason. They don't lose them. They scored late to beat New Orleans 17-14 and cover the 2.5, baby.
Hot damn. Big Daddy's done it again.
I told you last week, take Baltimore to win. Just pick them to win because they care very deeply about preseason football in a way that nobody else does. My man Harbaugh believes that you're infusing confidence for the season to come by winning games in the preseason. And it's hilarious because it is a drive-up money dispenser. It's unbelievable.
If Seminole Headline says straight to the limo, well, Harbaugh in the preseason says straight to the pay window.
It's I mean, there isn't a more sure thing in the betting world than to take Baltimore to win a game in the preseason that nobody's watching.
That and the Mets under in the run total. Just take the Mets under.
I didn't see what happened this weekend. Did you guys?
Lost 2 extra inning games Friday, Saturday, and got smoked last night on Sunday Night Baseball that I didn't watch because I didn't feel like watching a baseball podcast to go along with the play-by-play.
So, by the way, you were playing the Dodgers.
That's correct. And now we're on the West Coast playing the Giants for 4 and then the Dodgers for 3 more. And yeah.
Did you have extra inning games in both those first two?
First two, yeah.
Oh, do you realize the Dodgers, ironically, I think we're 2-12 in extra inning games this year?
Well, come on down to Flushing, New York.
Yeah, buddy. They can.
Problem solved.
Steve writes, Nebraska and Illinois, 8:28 at 1 p.m. 8:28. That's August.
That's correct.
The 28th. Yeah.
He's confirming my report.
He is.
Sources told me.
He is. I was off. I was optimistic that we had a game less than 10 days.
But it is at 1 p.m. You don't have to wait all day for the big kickoff between Nebraska and Illinois.
people love Indiana because of the season they had a year ago and their coach and all that. He's a really likable guy.
It's like the Pittman of the Big Ten.
Take the under on Indiana's win total, folks. That's not what we do here. That's not who they are. They were living a lie. They're living a lie, I tell you.
But they'll have that 2020 season forevermore.
Champion that sucker all you can if you're an IU. I've been there. I've been up there.
Oh, did you run on their field?
I did not run on their field. I went to a basketball game while Bob Knight was coach. So there you go.
Anybody get choked?
Nobody got choked. John Mellencamp was sitting diagonal for me. There was that. So went to the IU game, and that was a long time ago now, Tom, just as an aside. Unfortunately, too many of these experiences on random campuses of which I allude, I am now able to say, that was 30 years ago. That upsets me a little bit. That's a tough one. I never really think about getting older on the airwaves with everybody unless I'm referencing a game. Like it could be a Florida State game from 93, could be a game from 87, could be whatever. And then it occurs to me sometimes, usually after the fact, that I could have just said, that was 35 years ago.
So what took you to Bloomington? Were you on the way to Rockford or something?
A girl.
Oh, well, what else?
That's exactly right. Yeah. A girl whom I am still friends with. But yeah.
It's good to know.
It's good to know. Many moons later. There's no easy way to segue that. I'll take my break and come back and get us lined up. Yeah, that's kind of funny you asked, though. And that was 30 plus years ago. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
For about 50 years, Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses for thousands of people right here in the Big Bend. And we're quite proud of that. Fact is, all of us here at Paul's have families, and nothing is more important to us than their protection. By providing effective termite and pest treatments, we know we're aiding many right here in our community.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control performs many services designed for the protection of your family and your home. Programs like Pro Shield Complete, which encompasses termite and general pest control in one low-cost quarterly treatment plan. This program is environmentally friendly and is almost exclusively limited to exterior treatments, meaning pests and termites never enter your home. Termite programs like Centricon, a service which requires no invasive drilling or liquid applications. Plus, our lawn care team keeps lawns and ornamentals green and healthy.
Protection of your family, your home, and our environment all are very important to each of us at Paul's. To learn more about our many programs, please visit us at callpauls.com.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Is your business interested in exploring safe, secure, remote access capabilities for your employees? Not sure whether to go with a Mac or with a Windows system? Call the folks at Mac & More Systems, and they can give you the guidance to make the best decision for your needs. Visit macandmoresystems.com today.
If you're an attorney who struggles with the balance of managing your practice and practicing law, consider Lexicon as your #1 pick. From client intake to billing and all that comes in between, Lexicon doesn't miss a thing. Our comprehensive solution combines best-in-class software and services to take care of your firm's most critical challenges, automating many of the tasks that take time out of your day. It's all about giving you more of your billable hours back. And who doesn't love more revenue? No more searching for practice management that works. Lexicon marks the spot. Visit lexiconservices.com to learn what Lexicon can do for you.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Bama, OU, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas A&M, Iowa State. Come on, man. Can we just stop there? Every year when we go through the top 25 after it's released, there's a moment where you read it, you go, plausible, okay, sounds good. What are we doing here? And I usually go by feel, at least when I'm just reading the top 25. So here you go, Tom. Tell me you didn't have your spidey senses go off when you got to number 7. It was simple. It was straightforward. Alabama, OU, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas A&M. You're going plausible. Get to number 7, Iowa State. Hey, now. Not happening.
Well, I'm happy to report that I got the proper paperwork done and filed, and the permits were all set, that the goats were able to make their way over. So we have the goats here.
Give me the goats. Give me the goats for Iowa State, frauds. You're not finishing 7th.
The fraudulent goats are here.
The fraudulent goats made the trip over. I am pleased. Cincinnati at number 8. Well, they'll get a chance to prove it. They've got some stiff competition on that schedule. And, I mean, listen, I certainly like them as a non-Power 5 mucking up the works kind of team, perhaps. But 8th in the country? Notre Dame at 9. That's right. Keep them goats running, baby.
That dump of a town.
Dump of a town, indeed. North Carolina at 10. No, you're wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You are wrong.
They are fraudulent.
No, that's a solid bunch at 10. They're not at 7. They're not where Iowa State is. They're at 10. That seems about right.
I think 16 to 18 is where they belong.
Oh, man. Oregon at 11. Wisconsin at 12. Florida at 13. Miami at 14. Okay. USC.
Ooh, 14 Miami?
Yeah.
A little rich.
Southern Cal at 15. LSU at 16. Indiana at 17th. I'm hitting the goats. Not buying it.
Never hit the goats. Just ask the goats.
Iowa at 18. Fair enough. I like him to win 9 games this year. Iowa should be ranked ahead of Indiana.
There you go.
Iowa should be ranked ahead of
North Carolina.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Notre Dame. Cincinnati.
Penn State at 19. Washington at 20. Texas at 21. Coastal Carolina.
Oh, my.
Louisiana Lafayette. Goats are awesome.
I can hear the ones in the background now. I never noticed that.
Utah is underranked at 24. Kyle Whittingham, best coach in the Pac-12. They'll win 9-10 games. That's a good Utah team. They returned almost everybody. Good bet for the Pac-12 South Division is Utah.
In the spirit of probables that's coming up at some point here in the next couple of minutes, you think it's probable, we had this discussion over the weekend, that Utah could carry the day in the Pac-12. Not necessarily to win the title, but maybe in their division.
Well, they're hosting Oregon and they're hosting Arizona State. They do have the roadie against USC, but as you correctly pointed out, who's USC? Who cares?
Apparently the 15th ranked team in the country.
Well,
who knew?
That's year in and year out. People are tired of them in the way that they used to be tired of us. You know that? Where
the lost decade every year would be like 9th in the country to start the season.
And you'd look at it, you'd be like, man, I don't know about all that.
You're like, why? There was never a good reason. Because they're bound to come back. No, we weren't.
All right, let's cue it up. Let's do some probables here, brother. Go ahead, cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
They've made probables more difficult than ever before, I got to tell you. It's very, very frustrating.
They're terrible. Whoever they are.
MLB.com people, that's who they are, screwing up the works here. Thankfully, we're sponsored by somebody who's not terrible. That's North Florida Payroll Services, locally owned for nearly 15 years, offering payroll and HR services, including full online applicant onboarding, and integration into payroll. Save your company money and headaches today. Head to northfloridapayroll.com.
Smooth segue there.
Tonight, as you endure the storm, and you say it, storm, Angels, Yankees, Jose Suarez, Garrett Cole.
What accent was that?
I don't know. I made it up. Cubs, Reds, Justin Steele, Wade Miley, Orioles, Rays, Matt Harvey, your favorite. Batman. Colin McHugh goes for the Rays. Braves, Marlins. Tuki Toussaint. Braxton Garrett. Good name game. Stros, Royals. Jake Odorizzi, Carlos Hernandez. Indians, Twins. Cal Quantrill. Griffin Jacks.
Oh, there's Griffin. Griffin, what'd you shoot today? 74?
78. No, you didn't, Griffin.
88.
Foot wedge. A's, White Sox. Frankie Montas, Dallas Keuchel. Padres, Rockies, TBD, Antonio Centinela. Mets, Giants. Road just gets easier for the Mets.
Oh, yeah. One after the next.
Rich Hill will fearlessly lead your Metropolitans into battle.
Ooh, soft toss and lefty.
Against Kevin Gossman and the Pirates in the mismatch of the night. Pirates will throw Stephen Brault against the Dodgers. Out in L.A. Should be a lot of fun. I'll stay up late to watch them get their head kicked in. TBD tonight for the Dodgers. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
Talk to him, studio musician.
He's having fun. What we learned today? We learned that Florida State fans are overly optimistic about the upcoming season, which is exactly where they should be on August the 16th. Blind Squirrel writes, you new to the channel. Excellent show, Jeff. Damn Skippy, Blind Squirrel Sports. Appreciate you. Johnny Buckets just yells, let's go, baby. All right, Johnny Buckets.
He did. That's true. For the radio listener, we got a guy, Johnny Buckets, right there.
Let's go, baby.
This is the time of year to remind ourselves, though, if the defensive line is winning, it might be not just because they're good, but because the offensive line is not good, right? We need to remind ourselves. There have been some camps in recent years in which defensive ends were unblockable, but we need to remind ourselves why they were unblockable.
I want to point out that when I told everybody that I thought Joshua Kando kind of sucked and said as much last year before the season.
Took it there, did you?
I got ridiculed. People said, oh, you're just so negative. Well, he was just invading backfields everywhere, wasn't he, last year? I mean, year before, whatever the hell. It was last year. I pieced it out of my mind.
They all bleed together, brother.
Great kid, I'm sure. Wonderful kid. I never had a problem with him personally. Just no, man. No. Thanks for setting the edge. It matters. It matters.
That's
it's
important.
I mean, he set the edge.
It's an important job.
Jermaine Johnson's going to get to the quarterback this year. It's going to happen, especially against these middling ACC teams. It's going to happen.
So if you hear that he's wreaking havoc on practice or you're seeing it, you're not going to think, let's pump the brakes. You think that could be for real?
No,
that will be different.
Yes, I do believe that's different. Because
it's different this time.
Well, because when you see him and you watch him, he does it in practice. He did it to some degree in the SEC. So, yeah, I think it is different. I do think he'll be more productive off the edge there. And I do think that that is a huge talking point going into the year was that did you bring in a guy for all of the talk about grad transfers and transfer portal guys and all of that? Of everybody we talked about, I wanted to know with every one of the guys, are they the kind of player that comes in and makes an immediate impact on your roster? Do they come in and start right away? Do they change the complexion of what you can be up? He's the one guy. Now, we hoped it would be Dylan Gibbons. We hoped it might, but that's the one guy that we thought, okay, that I think is tangible.
Yeah. Jamie Robinson might be another who brings a little bit of physicality to the defensive backfield, but Keir Thomas now, wait a minute. If Keir Thomas plays well, then
his biggest thing is health. He's just got to be healthy.
Correct, but he's shown some burst in the limited stuff I've seen, and the reports are okay. If you don't have to key in on just one guy, if you have to think about two guys off of the edge defensively, and if you're the offensive line scheming up against it, that's a big advantage for us. What a spoiled bunch we would be with two people who could maybe get to the quarterback. Could be a great difference.
It would be nice. It would be nice. It's been a while. Hey, be careful if you're in Tallahassee and the surrounding areas here in the Panhandle. Obviously, we wish everybody well as Tropical Storm Fred makes its way through this evening. Be well. We'll be back with you tomorrow, all week long, really. And let's hope we get through everything unscathed, of course. Good work out of you, Matthew. Good work, Tom. All of you, thanks for listening and watching. Talk to you soon.